All right. Thanks, guys, for joining us today. My name is Neil Wagner. I'm the Business Service Program Manager at the Queens Chamber of Commerce. This is the latest student series from the QCIC Queens Chamber Internship Connection Student Series. Today, we'll be joined by Marty Cottingham. He's the principal at Avison Young Commercial Real Estate. Avison Young is known for creating real economic, social, and environmental value as a global real estate advisor powered by people. Marty, thanks so much for joining us today. How are things going for you?
Good, Neil. Thank you. It's an honor to be with you and our friends here today on this dreary Thursday. But it's I want to thank you and your team for doing all this great work in the community and the great work the chamber does. So it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you for saying that. And thank you for all the work that you do, not only for the city, but for us here at the Queens Chamber. We really do appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So, Marty, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your career, and how you got started in commercial real estate?
I appreciate that. I'll give you the short version if we could start. But I often say that I have a very unique background, and I'm fortunate to have that. I'm a lifelong Brooklynite. I do have the good fortune of spending our summers at a family home in the Rockaways. And I attended high school in Lower Manhattan, LaSalle Academy, and from there I went to New York City Technical College, thought I was going to be an engineer, and realized in short order that I wasn't cut out to be an engineer. And so I did a year there and kind of really, needed to find my way. So I was always working. I was always working part-time jobs in the community, and I was attracted to having money, in my pocket. So I went to work for Con Edison. I took a position in 1989 with Con Edison in the electrical construction division. So in essence, I was a splicer's helper. I was a helper for a splicer. And if those aren't familiar with it, it's those folks that are in the manholes of Manhattan that keep our lights on. And it's a dirty, at times dangerous job. And I have so much respect for those folks. So I did that for 4 years, and realized in short order that this is something I didn't want to do for 40 years. And I recognized that, I had a conversation with myself. I said, Martin, you know what? You need to get your butt back into school, get your butt back into college. I could remember the night I was working midnights in Upper Manhattan. And, it was, again, not an easy job, but it was for me, it was a great foundation. And fortunate for me, Con Edison had a tuition reimbursement program. And they had an alliance with Staten Island University. So I started in the program 1 or 2 nights a week. They paid full tuition. Imagine that, what a great company. I don't think that program still exists, but not in the form, at least when I was there. So if you received acceptable grades, you handed your report card to your foreman I'm working on the street. He signed off on it. Next thing you know, a couple weeks later, I got full reimbursement. So it was just an amazing program to be a part of. And it really got me back on track from an education perspective. So from there, I knew I didn't want to stay at Con Edison. So I took a low-level position, and I had a lot of help. I had a lot of help along the way. At Bear Stearns, I was named like a junior project manager. I actually took a pay cut, and I share that because I think it's important, because sometimes you need to take a step or two back in order to get see the light, or realize your vision. I took a low-level position at Bear Stearns. I worked my butt off. What my job entailed was I was a project manager. Back in those days, there was a significant amount of relocation internally, so we were always moving folks on the trading floor, and it happened quite often on the weekends. I was in my early 20s. I probably worked just about every weekend at some point of the weekend, probably for 5 years in a row. But I loved what I was doing. I absolutely loved it. I was working in Manhattan. I'm in corporate America. I'm learning about financial service firms. I'm learning about construction, design, facilities. And there's just so much to take in. And I could still say that today. And I really worked my way up. And fortunate for me, probably about 5 or 6 years in, they came to me and they said, Marty, Bear Stearns is building a corporate headquarters building in Midtown Manhattan, 47th Street in Madison. We need to round out the team. We need to hire people. So I was smart enough to know that I needed smarter people than I to really be successful on this project. And I reported into a couple of gentlemen, but we built an amazing team. And for 4 or 5 years, we built together. We hired Turner Construction, a large general contractor that I'm sure most are familiar with. We hired consultants, we hired advisors. We had 60 subcontractors on the project. And it was a good time in my career. I was, again, still young. I didn't have any kids at the time. And I just lived the job every day. And I took it all in because I knew that this doesn't come along that often. So it was $1 billion budget, 4 years. And ultimately, I became one of the team leaders on the project. I actually was the person responsible for the relocation of 4,000 or 5,000 people. So I was fortunate to just to be a part of such an amazing project. And it's an amazing building, 383 Madison Avenue. I think it's like one of the number 13 or 14th tallest building in Manhattan. Widely successful. And from there, I was at Bear Stearns in a couple of years, and I was like, okay, what's next? And I always wanted to get on the service side of the business, which I am now, which some you call it the provider side, the service side, the consulting side, advisory side, brokerage. And I did that in 2007. And I started at Grubb & Ellis. I was there for 5 years. And then ultimately, coming up on 9 years ago, I was asked to be one of a handful of folks to open up the Avison Young office in New York City. There were 6 of us that opened up the office. I think there's maybe 3 of us still there today. So we went from 6 people in short order to over 110, 20 people, Midtown Manhattan. We're about to move into our new office at 530 Fifth Avenue, 2 floors, and an amazing company, global firm. We're in 125 locations, 25 countries. We have probably 8,000, 9,000 people now. So it's been an amazing ride. And we have all the different sectors, all the different disciplines that one would need to be successful in real estate. We have project management, property management, agency brokerage, tenant representation brokerage, advisory, investment sales, so selling buildings. So it's been quite a ride. Very, very fortunate. One thing about this business that I want to share is you're always learning. You're always growing, especially in this exciting market of New York, in good times and bad times. So sorry, Neil, I hope I didn't get too far off the reservation there, but I thought I should share some of that.
No, not at all. That was fantastic. Thank you for sharing that with everybody. So obviously, you talked about good times and bad times. The last 6 months and really all of 2020 has been kind of a crazy time for everybody. Can you talk a little bit about where the industry is at today and how it's changed since COVID hit?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, Neil. And, it's probably one we can spend a couple hours on, but it's been quite a ride. I mean, no one has seen this before. Obviously the fear factor is still out there, right? We're fearful of friends, family, relatives, loved ones, fearful of our business. What does it look like? So it's been quite a ride, no doubt. It's been hard to watch on many fronts. Obviously, many companies, retail companies, small business owners are really, really struggling. And I'm fortunate that I have a great team. I have a great partner who has extensive experience on the legal side and the financial side. And we set out in March to say, really, you know what? We have a responsibility. We have a duty to help our friends, help our clients. Some of them, are unsure what they can do or what they need to do. So we've really spent a lot of time in those early months advising and gathering data and getting smart on the market and trying to understand the issues of the day. We spent a significant amount of time on working on the return to work for those that can and needed to return to work. What are the protocols in office buildings? We had several seminars, and each one of those you learn, right? When you have a seminar. So everything from the type of cleaning that's required, the CDC guidelines. So we went around spending time with tenants and small business owners on what the proper protocols were there for. Now what we're finding, we're extremely busy right now. where a lot of tenants and a lot of businesses are saying, okay, I need to, regardless of what happens, my lease is expiring in a year from now, 2 years from now. My company, how do I engage my landlord? You know, what's the proper way to structure different deals? So we've spent a lot of time on that. We're fortunately for us very busy right now, and you know, there are significant impacts in the real estate market. Some that will last probably from years from now, but also with that comes opportunity, right? Opportunity to do a reset, opportunity to revisit, opportunity to learn and grow. You know, I'd like to believe that there'll be some companies that now find New York affordable, or some small businesses that find it affordable. But there's going to be a pain period that's going to continue. We're very concerned about next year with regard to defaults on loans, and particularly in the commercial office and the retail sector. So we're spending a lot of time gathering data, and it's something that's very, very important to us and our clients.
Thank you for sharing all that. So you talked about, you know, with everything that's going on, some, you know, opportunities have obviously come up. How are opportunities changing for people who might be a student that's, you know, looking to get into commercial real estate, or looking to get into, you know, the kind of work that you guys do at Avison Young? You know, has it changed kind of the entry level jobs at all? Are there different opportunities now that weren't around maybe, you know, 1 year or 5 years ago now?
That's a great question. I think, particularly on the technology side, you know, we've all benefited from technology in many different ways, right? I still think I'm old enough to recognize that it's still amazing to think that you can click a button. I ordered a book a day ago, and 1 day later I had the book. My wife is like, "Did you order this?" I mean, it's just amazing. So, you know, we all benefit from that in many different ways. And it's also very important to support our small businesses because they're so important to our community. But I get this sense that, particularly in the past couple of years, and it's become very important right now, is the emergence of technology in real estate. And you know, what do I mean by that? With the challenges of the day, with the uncertainty in the real estate markets, with the difficulty in getting a good handle on price points in different submarkets, the need for data and access to that data is so important. And how do you have access to that data? It's what's really driving this right now is technology. You know, we at Avison Young just recently rolled out a platform called Avant, and it's an amazing tool. A couple of young, smart folks that just started with us within the past year are working on this. And basically, what it is, it's a platform, it's a tool that, let's say, covers, you know, different real estate markets, let's say New York, and you can go down and drill it down into the market on a macro and a micro level. You can click on an office building in Manhattan. It'll tell you what the price points are. You can click on a building in Long Island City. Well, we haven't got to Long Island City yet, but I'll stick with Manhattan, where we're making our way there. You'll see comps, you'll see price points, you'll see tenants in the building. You'll see when leases expire. You'll see sales comps, all of this information at your fingertips, where at one point in time, you'd have folks working for weeks and weeks pulling together this data. So that's become so important right now, because companies and tenants are not making decisions very quickly at this point in time. They really need that data. They really need that information in order to guide them. And I totally get it. I mean, no one wants to be, you know, you look at a large corporate, you know, we're working with a couple of them that are selling a building that we've been working on. No one really wants to be the first one to sell in this market right now. You know, there are certain buildings that have to sell for various reasons. So people are very concerned about being the first one in, the first one to establish the market. A lot of them are taking a wait and see approach, which we totally understand, but they can only do that if they have access to data, and technology is driving that. And that's an area where I see a lot of opportunity for folks that are still in school and folks that are looking to enter this market. I hope that answered your question. or part of it.
Yeah, definitely. So what kind of background if you guys are, looking to hire people to fill those roles to, put together the data and things like that, what kind of background are you looking in or, looking for in a student that might be interested in jumping into a role like that?
Yeah, I'm not directly involved in that, but I would tell you that folks and students and professionals that are well-versed in technology, well-versed in programming, a lot of the things that you're really doing right now, right? But translating this into a real estate solution.
Mhm.
I think if you could bring those technology capabilities and the knowledge of the market, within reason, right? Given you're just starting out, I think it's a combination, a combination for success. And one of the things I want to stress is as important as the technology capabilities of an individual, never shy away from the old school approach. Be informed on your market, informed in your community, be involved in your community. I can't tell you how many times when we're assisting clients, my involvement in the community, my involvement with the Queen's Chamber, where you learn and you grow and you gain a lot of insight on many different fronts, has really carried the day. So I just wanted, if I can share, that a technology piece is so important, but don't also shy away from the old school, being informed, read the newspapers, understand what's going on politically in the community, what's going on in the city, because all of those issues impact and drive real estate.
Definitely. So if I'm a student and I'm looking to get my foot in the door in your industry, what would you say is the best way? Is it looking for an internship at a firm? Is it to, try to get a part-time job first? Is it to reach out to firms directly? What's some advice we can give to the students out there?
Yeah, no, internships are very important. And it doesn't necessarily have to be an internship in real estate initially. I had a conversation with a young man the other day. A successful track record of working during the summer, during those college years, is very important. A diverse background is very important. So to the extent that you could bring those college experiences, those summer work experiences to the table, very important. And again, when I say diverse background, not only from a demographic perspective, but on capabilities. Come some of the things that I touched on: technology, being involved in the community, understanding the community, understand what drives the community. One of the things that I recall after the Mayor Bloomberg rezoned several neighborhoods. In the end, I think it was 44 neighborhoods he rezoned. That was a tremendous opportunity, because growing up in the city, I was familiar with those neighborhoods, and they were truly like residential communities, or in some cases, I'm sorry, industrial communities that became residential. So all of those communities needed retail. They needed schools. They needed all of that infrastructure that wasn't provided because they never had to provide it, right? So being familiar with those neighborhoods really helped me and kind of understand what the opportunities were.
Okay. That's some great advice. Absolutely. Let's see here. All right. Let's see if we have some questions here. I see a couple coming through. So I'm wondering, you talk about there's so many offices in New York City, whether it's in Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn. Can you talk a little bit, or someone's asking, can you talk a little bit about the scale of the work that you guys do and the amount of opportunity that's out there right now?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. I wanted to touch on that. I do a lot of work on the board level in several high schools. And one of the things I try and share is the immense scale of this market, right? Let's just start with the island of Manhattan. Just try and comprehend, there is close to 500 million square feet of office space just on that little island, on that amazing island, right? And Queens and Brooklyn have benefited from that You know, years ago, it was an afterthought, the Brooklyn and Queens market from Manhattan. It was a back office function, you know, back office operations would go there. But now those markets stand on their own right because of the live, work, play interest. But one of the things I always like to say that's very, very important, if you look at Manhattan and you look at the commercial office market, you have just some of the opportunities we can touch on, right? You could become at some point a real estate broker, right? Which is what I do in my day job, broker, advisor, consultant. You have folks that address the needs of commercial office business. You can represent tenants that are looking to relocate, tenants that are looking to expand. You could represent the landlord who's trying to attract those tenants. You can become focused on construction, right? So construction, interiors construction is part of the real estate business. I have many friends that are project managers, that are project execs, that are refurbishing office buildings. I have a nephew who works for Turner Construction. He's refurbishing a building in the Penn Station market. They're replacing 46 elevators. It's a $400 million project. And you have project managers, a project exec, you have superintendents, you have laborers, right? That have to take care of the building during construction. You have all those subcontractors, all of those trades, plumbers, you know, electricians. It's just endless, the opportunities in commercial real estate. Then you have another side of the business. You have the janitorial business. I know many folks that own custodial companies. And any one of those buildings that you look at could have anywhere from 50 to 100 janitors and custodians working on those buildings. So it's just really endless. And you think of all the support services. And if you look at Manhattan again on its own, up prior to COVID, the number we used was slightly over 1 million office workers. So there was 1 million, I think it was 30,000 office workers. The concern now is that obviously that's going to take a hit. But when I was in Bear Stearns, the number we would use in financial service, for every one job in financial services, there were 3 jobs to support, whether it was the car service driver, whether it was, you know, the maintenance folks. So that industry is so, so important. And the opportunity there is endless.
Oh, I was muted. It definitely sounds like there's, a lot of opportunity out there for folks in commercial real estate. So somebody has asked, what have you found to be the most rewarding part about a career in commercial, or your career in commercial real estate?
That's a great question. I think it's working for amazing people, right? Clients. What's rewarding is those clients become. I'm fortunate to say many of them become my friends, right? And I'll give you one example. I always like using case studies. One project I was very, very fortunate to be a part of. And at different points in my career, I've been told that I'm a little crazy, but I think you got to be crazy to have some vision. But I was asked to participate in a project in Coney Island, Brooklyn. And I think it was probably around 2012. And it's on the boardwalk, West 21st Street, if those are familiar with Coney Island. There is a landmark building there called the Child's Building, which was the first buffet restaurant in the United States. And it goes back to the 20s. Beautiful, beautiful building. It was landmarked. And adjacent to that was 6 to 8 acres of wasteland. There was a community garden that would be contaminated from Sandy. There was just abandoned lots. So it was a really struggling area. And I always had an affinity to Coney Island because when I was a kid, we'd go down there on the weekends. And obviously familiar to a certain extent on all the challenges down there, the poverty and issues. So I was asked to come up with a concept for that part of Coney Island. And I kicked around different ideas. We looked at affordable housing. And then I made the decision. I said, you know what? I called up Marty Markowitz, the borough president at the time, because I saw him on TV. He was promoting Safeway supermarkets. I said, Marty, I have a great idea. I have a spot for a supermarket. And he called me back like 4 hours later. He goes, Marty, forget about the supermarket. I want to put my amphitheater there. I'm like, what are you talking about? Your amphitheater. And he goes, Marty, I have a budget for an amphitheater for Coney Island, and let's talk. So there began a crazy, amazing ride for 5 years of coming up with different ideas on what to do with that property. And one of the things that really motivated, I actually worked on this for a year without any fees. I truly believed in this project. And I felt that it would help the community. It would anchor the entertainment district. We were creating several hundred jobs for the community. And we were creating a long-term benefit for the community in the way of space and access and programming the space. And sure enough, make a long story short, after several community board meetings where the project was voted down and was voted down in city planning, I had an opportunity to spend a couple minutes with Mayor Bloomberg at a parade. And I brought up the topic and I told him about my vision and the issue. And with partly because of that and many other reasons and many other team members, the project was approved. And in 2016, we opened up an amphitheater. And my wife and I were in the second row watching Sting and Peter Gabriel on stage. And it was just an amazing, amazing project to be a part of, amazing team approach, and one that changed the neighborhood.
That is such a great story. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. I'm told I could write a book about that one.
You should. And then I want to hear about that concert some other time. That sounds great.
Yeah. So, it really changed a lot of folks. It's having some struggles right now, obviously, with what's going on with COVID, but what's not. But that's the kind of stuff that I think that you're never going to make a big fees, and it's not always about the big fees, but that's something that, you could sleep at night saying, you know what, you delivered, you made some commitments down there, and you changed the neighborhood, and you like to think for the better.
That's awesome. Marty, I'm just wondering, do you have any other advice here as we wrap up for the people that are listening today or might be listening to this later on YouTube? Do you have any other advice on just how to be successful, whether it be in a career in commercial real estate or just in whatever career path they choose?
Yeah, no, thank you, Neil. I think perseverance, regardless of what business you're in, you need to stay the course. Be prepared to take your lumps. You're gonna get knocked down. You can get knocked down once a week. You got to get right back up and get back at it. If it's something you believe in, something you truly feel that you'll be successful, stay the course. Don't be afraid to reach out. None of us have all the answers. I'm very fortunate to have had amazing mentors. I would call them champions now. You need a champion. Everybody needs a champion. Everybody needs a mentor. Be willing to go in there and leave your ego at the door. Ego always gets in the way, regardless of what your status you are in your career or where you are in your career. But just stay the course. Continue to learn, continue to grow. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. And those mistakes will be success stories down the line.
Awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the students?
No, I just, I'm a resource. You're a resource. If anybody wanted to have a conversation, I'm always available. And just keep up the good fight. Keep going. Keep charging.
Awesome. Well, Marty, thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate you sharing your wisdom and sharing your time with us. And for everybody else out there, thank you for joining us today. My name is Neil Wagner. We'll have more events like this coming forward on the QCIC student series, so be on the lookout for those at queenschamber.org. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.